I have a feeling I'm gonna get really annoyed of this shirt and I'm gonna want to change halfway through the video. And so if I change randomly, you know why. It just falls off the shoulders so fucking quickly, and like it's more boobalicious than I'm used to. So, you know, we're just gonna like try to not freak out right now wearing this. Do you guys ever get nervous wearing something new? I'm gonna go off on a tangent for 2 seconds, but then I promise I will get into the video. I know I talk too much. I know I talked about this semi-recently, but I've been trying to wear things that are more out of my comfort zone. So this is gonna be one of those moments where I'm out of my comfort zone. So we're just going to not comment on my shirt. How about that? Or I could just be really close to the camera the whole time. Oh, there's a bug. With them. Hey y'all, I am back and I have more of your guys' paranormal stories that I'm very excited to read. I actually went through on the Reddit and I added flares. I really don't know how to run a subreddit, so if you guys have any tips, any advice for me, please let me know. Somebody actually sent me a message telling me that I should do this. I added flares, so when you post a story on the subreddit, you can mark it as paranormal, let's not meet, or no sleep. So obviously you guys can categorize them as you wish. And then it makes it easier too for people going through the subreddit. They can read stories that they're interested in, so if they don't really care about the stalker stories, they just want to read the ghost stories, they can do that. I've been just mass recording videos recently, so I really have nothing to ramble about, so we're just gonna get into the stories, which I'm sure none of you are upset about. In the last video that I posted of this, I rambled for like 5 minutes and people were pissed. As always, I will have every single story linked down below. You guys can go check them out. But this first story is called I Was Possessed. Unfortunately, not clickbait. They said, I'm sorry this is kind of long, but definitely worth a read. Okie dokie, where the fuck do I begin? Well, for starters, I apologize if I misspell anything. I'm not the smartest human out there. I feel you. This story takes place about 6 years ago when I was a junior in high school. It's kind of important to know that at this point in my life, I had really bad anxiety and depression. It's also what you would call a goody two-shoes. We are the same fucking person. Actually, I think my junior year is when I started drinking, but I was a goody two-shoes up until then. And depressed as shit. I'd never drank or smoked before. It began with me becoming friends with this girl, let's call her H. I'm gonna keep thinking that it's my friend H. H was not what I would call a good friend. She was selfish and a lot to handle. But she was going through some of the same things I was, so we became best friends. She had been talking to this boy, we'll call him A. A had 2 other guy friends over the summer and we kind of became a squad. God, I hate that I use that word. We would primarily hang out in this small shed that was next to a big old farming barn on this big grassy property that A's family owned. The shed, which we ironically called the Love Shack, was small but big enough to have a couch and a hammock on the inside. A little backtrack, when I said I had anxiety, I mean it was bad. I was literally scared of everything and everyone, never wanting to go anywhere alone. Another thing you need to know about me is that I've always been kind of sensitive to energy. I'm an empath, which is a blessing and a curse. Okay, back to the story. For some reason, I would not let myself go into the big barn on the property. Every time I came close to it, my heart would pump really fast and I would start to get one of those good old panic attacks. My friend H knew this and would respect the fact that I didn't want to go in there. A's family also didn't want us in there because, Siri, I am literally not talking to you. Because the second floor of the barn had a very large hole in it, so for safety reasons, we didn't go in there. One day, all 5 of us were hanging out in the Love Shack, just talking and goofing around. That day, my anxiety for some reason was on high alert. The door to the Love Shack had a small worn window on it, one so old that it had that foggy glass look to it. You could see out of it, but you couldn't make out the details. I was sitting on the couch facing the door, and out of the corner of my eye, I kept seeing someone walk by the door. Being the little bitch I am, I would freak out and tell H, who would go outside. It was still daylight, but the sun was setting. She would look around, but nobody was there. A's mom needed help moving stuff over at his house across the street, so the boys headed over there, telling us to just go hang out in the Love Shack till they get back. At this point, I was getting kinda tired, and I turned to my friend and told her I was going to take a little nap on the couch. Well, at least that's what I thought I did, until 3 years ago. When I woke up from the nap, I had dirt on my knees and hands, which wasn't out of the norm. We were in a field and the Love Shack had a dirt floor, but my friend was acting super weird and frantic. She insisted we leave right then, without telling the boys. 3 years later, I found out what actually happened. From a YouTube video she decided to post exposing the whole situation, me and her were not on good terms, but I honestly believe what she said because the decline of my mental health and sanity correlates with the— I'm not ready for this. The decline of my mental health and sanity correlates with the events she told. What I'm about to say is from her perspective because from my perspective, I was asleep. Apparently after the boys left, I kept on talking with her normally like we would do. Except I kept asking her if we could go upstairs because I had to go to the bathroom. The Love Shack didn't have an upstairs and we would go outside if we had to pee, so it made no sense for me to keep asking to go upstairs. I guess I would continue on the conversation like normal, but continuously ask to go upstairs. She assumed I was being a smartass or something till she noticed my chest was becoming blotchy with red patches. This would happen often when I had panic attacks, and she knew this. She asked if I was okay, which I responded to by saying I was fine and I was going to go outside to go to the bathroom. She got up with me, but I said, no, I'm going alone. Super out of character for me, but she didn't worry too much, not until 10 minutes later when I hadn't come back. By this time it was dark outside and she decided to go look for me. She was worried I got scared or lost or something. She walked around the Love Shack calling my name with no response. She began to worry more and texted A asking if I'd run over to the house for some reason, but he was just as confused because I wasn't there either. She began to walk near the big barn when she heard a thud from inside, thinking there's no way I could be in there, but wanted to be sure. She opened the door to the pitch black barn and calls my name. No response. However, she does hear a scratching sound coming from up the stairs. So being the fearless bitch she was, she climbed up the stairs with her phone flashlight on. When she reached the top of the stairs, she saw me in the corner on my hands and knees, but looked like scratching on the wooden floorboards. At this point, I was facing away from her, and she was naturally freaking the fuck out, and she screamed my name one last time. I guess I jumped and turned around, but when I turned around, my hair stayed mid-air, almost like there was someone squatting on the floor Okay, I'm like picturing it in my head as it's happening. It's freaking me the fuck out. I would shit my pants. I'd be like, bitch, no, like, I'm sorry, but I gotta go. My mom called. Okay, we're gonna reread that part, but I need to take a mental break. At this point, I was facing away from her, and she was naturally freaking the fuck out when she screamed my name one last time. I guess I jumped and turned around, but when I turned around, my hair stayed mid-air, almost like there was someone squatting on the floor next to me, and my hair was draped over their shoulder. She screamed my name again, and the hair fell. She walked me out of the barn and back to the love shack and onto the couch, which is where I thought I was the whole time. When I came to, she insisted we go home, and she never told me what happened. To add to the creep factor, a month or two after the incident, A's parents were fixing up the barn and taking out floorboards when they found on the second floor, under one floorboard, a small tin container full of baby teeth. Fuck? For the next few years, my mental health deteriorated. I felt a constant heavy negative energy around me. It felt as if I was only living at half the energy I used to. There were a couple times I saw figures out of the corner of my eye, but nothing big enough for me to see as a concern. That was until one night I was driving home from my boyfriend's house alone. I had the radio on and I was in a good mood until I felt a strong tug on my hair, strong enough for my head to hit the thing on the back of my car seat. Like any normal human, I shat myself and burst into tears and immediately called my boyfriend and talked to him on the phone the rest of the car ride. At this point, being the troubled human I am, I was already in therapy. Luckily, I live in a somewhat hippy-dippy place, the same area as Tia, ironically. What the fuck? Y'all should hang out. And my therapist was quite open-minded spiritually, so I felt comfortable telling her what was going on. She didn't quite know what to say, but she did say she had a friend/acquaintance that considered herself, they said a sensitive, but I don't know if they meant a psychic. So she told me if she ran into her friend, she would mention my problems and see if she had any advice. My next appointment with her, I yet again bring up my problems with negative energy and what's been going on, and she gets this odd look in her eye. She begins to tell me that she went shopping a day or two ago and she ran into the woman she was talking about. First thing the woman said to my therapist was, "Do you have a patient dealing with negative energy?" My therapist, who hadn't seen this woman in months, was kind of shocked, as most would be, but heard her out. She gave me some bomb-ass advice saying that negative energy/spirits have more power over you when you're in a negative mindset or in a weakened mindset. She told me to imagine a ball of light surrounding me. That ball of light is my protection. It is my positivity and love. She told me to keep it strong and to imagine it whenever I feel the negative energy. It's been 3 years since then, and my mental state has significantly improved, and my run-ins with negative energy still happen, but I'm able to create my bubble and protect myself. Sorry this was long and poorly written, but I finally feel comfortable sharing this, and I thought others out there might find it interesting and helpful. What the fuck? Okay, wait, the ball of energy thing, or like imagining like a ring of light around you, that's what they told me too. When we were at the end of all of our Ouija board stuff and I was trying to figure out what to do, I called that psychic, and she told me there was this prayer that I would have to say, and I would have to imagine myself, like I'd have to like meditate, like sit with my eyes closed and imagine this ring of light around me and say this prayer because it would protect me from negative energy. And so Caitlin and I fucking did it. We felt strange because neither of us are super spiritual like that. So we were like, this is a little bit weird, but I think it really did help. Then again, it was kind of my own fault that I had a negative energy following me, so I guess it's not the same situation. Also, I'm glad that your mental health is doing better. I know that shit is really hard. Keep going, little bitch. I believe in you. I'm fucking dead. This person says, Prison Mike possessed my friend. And then at the very bottom of it, it literally has a picture of Prison Mike. They said, "Hey Courtney, I have a paranormal story for you. Last January 2018 was my best friend KK's birthday. She said she wanted a Ouija board, so of course I got her one. This is before everything happened with T, so I thought if we played with your rules, we would be safe. I'm so fucking sorry that I ever made y'all think that you could do this." Someone came into my stream the other day and they were like, "Just got a Ouija board, what should I do?" And I'm like, throw it away. Before I start the story, everyone who was playing was very serious about this and swears they never moved the planchette. 2 of the people who were there didn't believe in ghosts when they got there, but definitely walked away believing. That was always the coolest shit for me, was like when people would come over and watch us use the board, and after we were done, they were like, "Honestly, I thought that you guys were full of shit, but I am amazed." He said KK wanted to play and we all agreed, thinking it would never work. We spun the board, and when we asked if there was anybody who would like to talk to us, it went to no. We closed the board and tried again. This time it answered yes, but when we asked if we could ask some questions, it said no. So we closed the board and we kept trying. We eventually played without KK, and when we asked why she couldn't play, it spelled out F-U. Now this girl's mom is a medium and can communicate with spirits in their house. She's fucking awesome. They eventually said that something bad was attached to KK, which her mom already could tell but didn't want to freak her out. The spirit we were talking to's initials were DQ, not Dairy Queen. She was 19 and died in the year Listen, dog! She's 19 and died in the year 302 and was a doctor. What the fuck? Apparently her whole ghost family lives there. When we found out her name, the board stopped moving for a minute and moved to the bottom left-hand corner, which I googled and it meant you're talking to a demonic spirit. I actually didn't know that. So we closed the board. We respun and found out she was a doctor and it stopped working again. It then quickly made its way to Z and then to O and began moving back to Z, and I closed the board. I don't really believe in Zozo, but I didn't want to take any chances. We stopped the game and said goodbye. KK's mom, the medium, said after a while they wanted us to play one more time and then she would let her go. Earlier in the game, they had literally fucking possessed her and were pushing her and were slamming her head against the door frame. Why didn't you tell me this part of the story? And these were the nice spirits she liked. She was okay with it. I would never be okay with anything slamming my head into a door frame. I don't think they're very nice. Wait, why didn't you tell me that part of the story? Why did you skip over that? Wait, please tell me that. Please go into more detail about what the fuck happened. So we played the board one last time and got a couple questions in. The board stopped working again and started moving to 8, which we asked DQ to move to if something bad came. But then it flew to Z, so we closed the board. We tried playing it later and it said yes, they wanted to play, but no, we can't ask questions. That night we were watching Drake and Josh and drinking Diet Coke in KK's room, and a full can of Coke completely flew off the shelf. No one was near it. We ignored it, but it's safe to say we all had trouble sleeping that night. Anyways, KK and our other friend and her mom played again this morning, and they said everything was fine, and then afterwards a pair of pants that were sitting on the railing flew off, so they reopened the board and DQ said it was her messing with them. Thanks for reading my story. Congrats on 88K, bitch. What? Oh, that's how long ago I wrote this. Oh, shit. Oh, I'm assuming you sent it to my email then. Oh my god, see, this is why I feel fucking bad. This bitch sent this shit to me over a year ago, and I never got to it. Wait, first of all, love that you did the 8 thing, because I feel like that really did work for us. I still don't necessarily know what happened with the whole tea thing. I don't know if it was she was always bad or if eventually someone just kind of took over for her and pretended to be her. But I do feel like the 8 thing worked for a little bit, where we were like, this is our secret code, little bitch. Also pissed that they wasted a Coke. That's very fucking rude. Also, don't think that they're nice if they're slamming heads against cupboards or door frames. What did you say? Yeah, I don't think that they're very nice. Okay, this one's called They Watch Me Sleep. I've had a few experiences that I don't quite understand. I'm not sure if they're paranormal or something else entirely, but I'll recount the stories here and let you decide for yourself. I've woken up a few different times to see something watching me in my sleep. The first time I was sleeping in my apartment where I used to live alone. My significant other was staying over this particular night. I woke up on my side facing away from him. I wanted to roll over to the other side, but as I did, I noticed a shadowy black figure standing over my bed on his side, staring down on us. Fuck this already. Actually, fuck this. I couldn't see any features. It was just tall, almost reaching the ceiling. Oh my god. I could feel that it had a feminine energy to it. As soon as I saw it without thinking, I said, oh my god, quite loudly. This woke my significant other up in a panic, and immediately as he awoke, the shadowy figure evaporated. Awake. It happened again. The second time was fairly similar. I was asleep in my bed next to my significant other. I woke up, opened my eyes, and saw a shadowy figure standing beside the bed looking down on us. This figure was different from the one before. It had a masculine, benevolent energy. I could tell the figure was wearing a beanie and had an axe slung over his shoulder. Okay, I gotta go. Actually, I can't fucking do this shit. This bitch had an axe. It heavily resembled a lumberjack, but I still couldn't make out any details. It was just a shadow person. My first thought was that it was a home intruder, so yet again I let out an oh my god, which again woke up my significant other, and you guessed it, the shadow evaporated as soon as he woke up. Oh my god, I can't believe this bitch had an axe. I'm never gonna get over that. Then it happened one last time. This time was different though. I was sleeping alone in my bed with a friend sleeping in the other room on the couch. I woke up and saw a shadowy being standing a few feet away from the foot of my bed. It was leaned with its back against the wall. The shadow person was shorter than the first two and had more visible features. It was clearly a female with the pixie cut and was wearing a black and white striped top. In my sleepy haze, I thought maybe it was my friend, so I sat up and said, hello. Upon hearing my voice, it stopped leaning against the wall and began to take a few steps towards the bed. Oh my god. I wasn't scared, but I felt confused, so I called out to my friend, who it later turns out never heard me. The thing stared at me for a few minutes and then disintegrated like the previous figures. Okay, it's one thing to see it in the corner of your room, and it's a completely different thing for it to be walking towards you, coming at you. I can't fucking do this. I don't know what I would do. I would literally sell my house and sell my soul. I don't know. That was the last time anything like that has happened. I have no idea if what I was seeing was real or some sort of dream that was still playing out after I woke up. A few years after the incidents took place, I was talking to a friend who was really into horoscopes, and according to her, Scorpios, my significant other's sign, are a very spiritual zodiac and attract the paranormal. I like to tell myself it wasn't anything paranormal because it makes sleeping at night much easier. Even though this all happened a few years ago and I no longer live in that apartment, I still look around my room when I wake up to make sure nothing is watching me sleep. That is Honestly, one of the most terrifying things I could ever fucking imagine. I think it freaks me out more too because the only time I've ever seen anything, it was for a brief second. It was like a shadow in the corner of my room or a shadow right behind me, and then it just disappears as soon as I look directly at it. But I can't imagine like waking up and I'm essentially making fucking eye contact with a shadow that's watching me sleep. Let's read a couple more. This is gonna be a longer video because now I'm really into this. This one says, being psychic is scary, and actually people responded to this. I love that. I want you guys to like be this cute little community who responds to each other. I love that. I've always been in touch with the universe and all of that ever since I was young. It all started when I was in the car with my mom. I was 5 years old. We were driving and I was talking about my uncle who passed earlier that year. It sounded like a normal conversation with a child until I said, Uncle Bob is here right now. My mom responded with saying that he's always here with us in our hearts. That's when I pointed to the front seat of the car and said, no mom, he's sitting right there and looking at you. Let's just say she was a little creeped out. I also have visions sometimes. I had a vision when I was in middle school that my friend would become a drug addict. I never told her that vision, but now she's going to court for drug-related issues. I also have visions of brake lights, and then later on I'll see a major car accident on the street or on the news. As years went on, I would see and feel things that weren't there. I remember when I was on vacation with my family, I saw a man standing in my doorway asking me for help. There was no one there except for my family. I began having strange dreams of events that would occur in real life after the dreams. I remember having a dream about Sandy Hook. I kept seeing the number 26 in the dream and seeing people run from gunshots. A week later, the shooting occurred and 26 people were killed. The most distinct dream I had, or I guess I could say a nightmare, was finding my friend on the ground with her right leg cut off. A couple weeks later, she was in the hospital with an injury in the same spot as in the dream. What the? Okay, both of those fucking examples right there are fucking terrifying. I've had many more occurrences, but these are the most interesting ones in my experience. It's pretty scary sometimes because I never know if my dreams are gonna come true or not. Wait, I want to hear about, like, all of them? I'm not kidding. And then somebody actually commented and said, I've had similar experiences. I would dream about a few things and sometime into the future, probably up to a week later, it would come true. Then I've also thought about a lot of things which would then come true. One of the most recent events was just over a month ago. It was in PE. We were practicing our throwing and catching before we played rounders. My group and I were doing a throw and follow exercise where you would throw the ball and go to where you threw it. Anyways, I threw the ball a few times to a girl named Corinne, and it hit her hand a lot and her finger bent back, and I said, what's next, a black eye? The next time I threw the ball hit her in the eye. I don't know if I knew it was gonna happen or if I jinxed it, but that's been my only experience with something like that. Honestly, it's crazy. When I first started reading this, I thought it was gonna be more of like an intuition thing where you're like, I feel like something like this is gonna happen, and then it does. But the dreams about like Sandy Hook, like that is absolutely terrifying. And then same with the one about your friend. My camera ran out of space, but I'm back. Okay, this is the last one I'm gonna read. This one says, my cousin's house was haunted. It said, hi, these aren't actually my own stories, but they're my older cousins. I'm from Sydney, Australia. She lives in Brisbane now. I actually just watched a video where they were like arguing over how to say Brisbane. Is it Brisbane or Brisbane? Because I have no idea. She was really young when all this happened to her, and as a popular belief, children have more of a connection to supernatural stuff. Anyways, she used to see the ghost of a little girl with short black hair all the time, and it turned out that a little girl had burned to death at that house. Another strange occurrence was that whenever she would get super frustrated at anything, she would hear fingers drumming, like if you were to drum your fingers on the desk. Probably the most scary thing that ever happened was when she was in bed one night. In the roof to her room where it connects to the wall, reddish brown stuff started leaking. She called her mom, who said it was because the past owners had been smokers, but when they moved out of the house, the mother confessed she didn't actually know what it was and just said it not to scare her. This next story I'm actually involved in. At every house my cousin ever lived in, the smoke alarm has gone off every year on significant days. It goes off every year on the anniversary of her dad's death. Late last year, our uncle died, and she came down to Sydney for the funeral. We went out the next day, and she asked me what day our uncle had died, and I replied with Wednesday. She then asked me what time. We don't know the time for sure, but it was around midnight or 2 to 3 a.m. She looks me dead in the eyes and says, our smoke alarm went off that night. I have a few more stories from other family members, but only wanted to focus on this particular cousin. Anyways, love you lots and enjoy your videos. Wait, I want to hear your other stories too. I wonder if it was almost like a warning, or if they were trying to like let you know, alert you, like that something was going on. Because I guess you have to wonder if they were like doing it to help you, or if it was like more so to scare you, or if it was just a coincidence. Okay, I want to read another one because I just found one that says creepy Ouija board in cemetery. I'm sorry, this is going to be a long video. I don't know how many I'm going to have next week, so I guess I just have to make up for it now. A little background. I decided that I was going to move to PA. Is that Pennsylvania? I'm stupid. And live with my grandpa for a while. My cousin, who we'll call Nicole, had decided she would come along with me and spend a week or two since it was her summer vacation. We were bored one night and called up my other cousin, Greg, and asked him if he wanted to chill and smoke. We pick him up and go to this trail by his place that was low-key and had really nice scenery. We find a bench near the waterfall and light up. I hate that. Fucking light up a beach. 420 blaze it. For some reason, after we finished, I suggested that we go to the cemetery up the road and play the Ouija board that I had in my car. I'd played with Ouija boards many times throughout my life, some sessions with Nicole, and wanted to experience it in a cemetery as I've never played in one one before. This just sounds like a horrible idea, honestly. Before I go on, I know it was the absolute worst decision to play Ouija board in a cemetery in general, let alone high. Also, Greg is a complete skeptic at this point and has never played with a Ouija board and was curious. Also, fun fact, the cemetery we went to had a headstone with the name Frederick Krueger, so we thought for whatever reason we would be able to talk to him. Wait, it's kind of cool actually, I don't know why. I know he's like not a real person, but still. I wish I had a picture of the gravestone to prove it to you, but you'll just have to take my word for it. We get to the cemetery and it's probably like 9:30 at this point. Completely dark out and we find a spot to sit and set up the board. At this point, Greg was, being a skeptic, saying it's not gonna work, there's no way we can communicate with anybody on the other side. Shit we've all heard before. We start the session and it goes pretty well, just the basic questions you would normally ask. At some point during the session, I kind of blanked out. Then something in the cemetery had caught my attention. I was just staring at it, trying to figure out if what I was seeing was real. At this point in my life, I'd only had a few experiences with seeing spirits and whatnot, but never of my grandma. I was really just not paying attention to what the planchette was spelling out or any of that. I remember hearing my cousins trying to puzzle together what the planchette was trying to spell out. Finally, I looked down at the board and I noticed the planchette was going corner to corner and counting down the numbers backwards and going through the letters backwards as well. For anyone who's played with a Ouija board before knows this is a very bad thing. Whoever or whatever in this case that you were communicating with is trying to escape the board. Also, this next part is what my cousin tells me because I don't remember doing this. There are children screaming in the hallway and I want to punch them. I had apparently froze and started screaming at the top of my lungs. What I remember seeing though is my dead grandmother standing to the right of me, shouting that I need to say goodbye and that it's a demon who is about to escape the board and attack me. I look just behind her and I see exactly what she's talking about. I honestly have no idea how to describe what I saw, but all I know is that whatever or whoever it was trying so hard to get past my grandma to get to me. After seeing this, I just sat there completely frozen. And finally, my grandma put her hand on my shoulder and surrounded me in a white light. I remember finally hearing myself scream and telling my cousins that we need to say goodbye. As we tried to say goodbye, the planchette legitimately levitated off the fucking We all freaked out, trying our hardest to push the planchette onto goodbye. After we achieved this, we grabbed our belongings, including the board and the planchette, and we book it to my car. As I'm running, I look back and my cousin Nicole starts to scream because she heard footsteps following her. I don't like that. I don't like that. I know what you mean about the planchette thing, not about like it levitating, that never happened to me, but how at some points it just gets so fucking hard to even push it. There's so much pressure on it. Like there was one time we were trying to push it to goodbye and it was almost impossible. Fucking footsteps, suck my dick. That made me run faster. LOL, sorry girl. Honestly, I would do the same thing. I'd be so scared. We get into my car and start flipping out even more as we try to figure out what to do with the board. My skeptical cousin, now in tears, pussy, doesn't even want to touch the damn thing, let alone help get rid of it. We just drop him off and call it a night. I was in such disbelief of what happened. Like I knew it was against the rules to do all of those things, but didn't think they applied to me. My cousins to this day hate talking about what happened, and I know for sure they won't touch another board ever again. I hope people take it more seriously than we did and never play with the board under any circumstances in a cemetery or while under the influence of any drug or alcohol. How about we just don't play with them in general? That is going to be it though. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any stories that you want to share, please share them with me. I'll have the subreddit link down below. Remember to label them as paranormal. That's not me. You guys can put pretty much any story that you want to on there. Just make sure you label it accordingly. I'm gonna try to have at least 2 videos up next week, but I can't guarantee anything. I just don't know how long it's gonna take me to pack up all my shit. And then I'm gonna try to clean this place spotless so I can get my security deposit back. Because I did not try to clean up my apartment in Louisville and bitch, they charged me a lot. So I'm gonna try to do my best, and so I have a lot of work to do. And as of today, I leave in like about a week and I haven't even started. So hopefully I'll have 2 videos next week. And then once I get settled in, videos will go back to normal. But I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. It's literally becoming more and more like bye. Like soon I'm just gonna say bye off camera completely. Like it used to be like I would go directly into the lens and now I just like barely show my eye, like the corner of my eye. It's like that TikTok trend right now that's like us Snapchatting but I'm becoming uninterested, and it starts out them just like sending pictures of their face and then by the end it's like just a picture of their fucking wall. That's how I feel right now. But okay, I'm gonna leave. See ya.